Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a good morning. Hey, Stiffy's Hole, how you doing this morning? Hope everybody's having a good morning. And all this other good, lovely stuff. Early in the morning, drinking my coffee. My jaw does feel better today than it did yesterday. So every day it's getting better. You know what I'm saying? Every day, it's getting better and better. So that's all that really matters. Um, you know, just sitting there trying to deal with life and living and taking care of everything that you got to take care of. Um, Trying to make sure that everybody being all right and everybody being cool. I hope everybody's having the best day possible today and that through this week you've had a good week. Um, and everybody's, doing some good stuff. Sitting there doing my due diligence, checking, make sure everything's now on the Diddy trial. Um, they have reached a semi verdict. Not really. They haven't come back fully, but they are on counts 2 to 5. They are saying that he's guilty, but on count one, they're still deliberating. So count one is the big charge, which is the racketeering or whatnot. So they're still debating on, count one, the drug trafficking and racketeering and whatnot. Hey, Mr. Buster, good morning. Good morning. But so they've came back on that one so far, just to let people know what's going on. They're still deliberating, so um, the jury's still deliberating on count one. But so far, um, we do know that um, okay, it says right here the judge informed the jury yesterday that to conclude Combs violated the RICO Act, there are 4 elements to consider. Sumerian instructed the jury that it must find that there is an agreement, whether spoken or unspoken, by at least 2 people to participate in criminal enterprise. They must conclude that Combs has been a willful member of the enterprise and knowingly committed 2 president crimes as part of the criminal conspiracy. Finally, the racketeering activities must have affected interstate or foreign commerce to meet the racketeering threshold. So there are certain things that, in order for them to, um, say that, like there's 4 different things that they could, for the racketeering or whatnot. So to understand what the RICO Act is, I'm going to. So basically, um, there are 4 different things that you have to look into. I think when it comes to the, um, basically the racketeering, right? The enterprise defined. It has to invested the proceeds of the pattern of racketeering activity into the enterprise, or acquired or maintained an interest in or control of the enterprise through the pattern of racketeering activity, or conducted or participated in the affairs of the enterprise through the pattern of racketeering activity, or conspired to do one of the above. So um, they have to. RICO also permits a private individual damaged in his or her business property by a racketeer to file a civil suit. Um, the plaintiff must prove the existence of an enterprise. The defendants are not the enterprise. In other words, the defendants and the enterprise are not one and the same. A civil RICO action can be filed in state or federal court. Both criminal and civil components allow the recovery of treble damage, triple the amount of actual compensatory damages. In the United States, the government is a plaintiff in civil court. Treble damages may be replaced with a request of equitable remedies and preliminary injunctive reliefs. Um, So they have to, go by the statutes of RICO. Under law, that meaning the Rectorate is set out to 18 USC 1961 as currently amended is including any violation of state statutes against gambling, murder, kidnapping, extortion, arson, robbery, bribery, dealing in obscene material, or dealing in controlled substances or listed chemicals as defined in the Controlled Substance Act. Any act of bribery, counterfeiting, theft, embezzlement, fraud, dealing in obscene matter, obstructions of justice, slavery, racketeering, gambling, money laundering, commission of murder for hire, or any other offense covered under the Federal Criminal Code, Title 18. Embezzlement of union funds, bankruptcy fraud or security fraud, drug trafficking, long term and elaborate drug networks can also be prosecuted using the Continuing Criminal Enterprise Statute. Criminal copyright infringement, money laundering, and related offenses, bringing in, aiding, or assisting aliens, or illegal entering the country if the action was for a financial gain, or acts of terrorism. Pattern of racketeering activities, right? So basically, with the RICO charge, that's the one that they're going back and forth on. I don't know if it's because someone doesn't think he meets the statute, or or if they understand what the statute is. Um, you know, um, because it can be extortion, blackmail, and on this situation, in my opinion, if they use the extortion version of the RICO, he did extort those women into doing the prostitution, right? So they could get it on that, in my opinion. Good morning, love. Good morning, Mr. William. How are you doing this morning? Hope you're feeling okay this morning. I hope the situation with your tonsils are doing a little bit better, and you're not feeling as sick or anything, and you're feeling a little bit better or whatnot. But with the RICO charge, that's what they're going back and forth on. So I don't know if that's the biggest charge too. If they don't find that one guilty, his other charges, he's not going to get as many years in prison. The RICO charge itself is the strongest one, so that may be why they're debating on it further, because it's actually the harsher penalty, if that makes sense. And they may be debating on whether he actually meets the criteria for RICO charges. Because with RICO charges, there's a certain criteria that you have to meet and whatnot. So they are going back and forth on that. So that's still ongoing, obviously. But I'm just sitting over here chilling. I'm glad that my jaw is feeling a little bit better. I'm not as much pain today as I have been since getting the tooth pulled, which was crazy because the first 2 days after surgery, I didn't really feel what was it, surgery? It was just getting a tooth pulled. But I didn't feel too terrible, but it's just like, yeah. Hey, TNW Logger. Oh, well, you're going on a trip. That's going to be awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're feeling a little bit better, because I hate being sick myself, and I know what it's like to deal with tonsil issues. And I've had to deal with that, and it really sucks. I had my tonsils out when I was 14, and it was terrible. I went through a whole ordeal when I got my tonsils out because I didn't know I was severely allergic to codeine. And I went into anaphylactic shock and was hospitalized for over a week. And the dumbass doctors almost caused it to be way worse. I coughed up my stitches the same night. It was terrible. Because when I went to the hospital with anaphylactic shock, they said as long as I wasn't turning blue or passing out, I would be okay. So they left me in the waiting room for hours with anaphylactic shock. I don't mean just a little while, I mean hours. By the time I got to, because they shipped me to another hospital, and by the time I got there, they said I wasn't even stable enough to be airlifted. And they had to get me in a room ASAP, and they thought they were going to have to intubate, but thank you, Jesus, they did not have to intubate. And I had a pinhole to breathe out of by the time that those dumbasses left me in that waiting room with anaphylactic shock. And if they would have possibly got me the medication before, I probably would not have to have been hospitalized for so long. I was hospitalized for an entire week over anaphylactic shock because they left me in a waiting room for hours with anaphylactic shock. Yeah, I didn't know I was that severely allergic to codeine because I'd never taken it before in my life. And yeah, so the if they had probably taken me back in that ER, the very like within the first 30 minutes, they probably could have gave me medications to stop the anaphylactic shock. Um, and I probably wouldn't have been hospitalized for so long. But I was hospitalized for over a week. And they kept me on a morphine drip, kept me passed out pretty much, because it also made my throat swell up to the point that I couldn't breathe and stuff. So um, I got very lucky that I made it. I was forcing myself to breathe. That's how bad it was. Like I was breathing like because I was trying to force air down myself because it was so hard to breathe. I pray nobody has to deal with that. Anaphylactic shock is not fun. Um, Allergic reactions are not cool. I wouldn't suggest that. 10 out of 10, do not suggest. How's everybody doing this morning, though? Anybody have any awesome anything that they would like to talk about on this Wellness Wednesday? Do you have anything specific? But tonsil surgery does get more, I would say, dangerous the older you get. Now, I will say they'll tell you that garlic is really good for like tonsils and different things like that. Like eating raw garlic because raw garlic has antibacterial properties. And sometimes you need that. Also, Mr. William, I don't know if you know what a water pick is. I just got me one. But a water pick would be very good for you, Mr. William, because if you have tonsil stones and whatnot, it'll help. And also do rinses with warm salt water. It'll help like get some of the infection out of your tonsils and make them feel better. Make sure that during like after you eat, after you drink something, like if you're drinking coffee or whatnot, drink your morning coffee and then go rinse your mouth out with the warm salt water. It'll help keep those tonsils from getting infected, and if they're having infections or whatnot. And if you notice you have tonsil stones, they can actually cause the infection part. They're just little white spots. If you look at, like, let's say you got a flashlight pointed down your throat and you're looking in the mirror and you see like white specks on your tonsils that are kind of hard to the touch. Those are tonsil stones, and that can cause infection in your tonsils. But if you notice them and you get them out with like a water pick or something like that, it'll help keep you from getting infections in the future. And things like that. So I'm trying to help that way. Debris duct can get trapped in the tonsils. And like right after you eat, do water rinses and it'll help. I had my adenoids and my tonsils taken out when I was 14, and there was a lady who was 20. She was in her 20s, and I woke up to her having a medical emergency. So I'm 14, right? Just got her surgery. Can't talk, can't scream, can't say anything. And I'm watching this lady. They're over here with a suction tube down her throat because her stitch is busted, and she's bleeding. And they're having to rush her back to the ER. You know what I'm saying? So I'm over here watching this lady having a medical emergency, freaking me the fuck out at 14. That freaked me the heck out at 14 years old because I couldn't say, hey, I'm awake. I couldn't talk, It was scary. It was scary. But the older you get, the harder it is to have that done. But I just got me a water pick, y'all. And we got us a good one, and I'm going to start using it and whatnot. It's really cute. My son, he's got to have his water pick because he's going to end up having to have braces. He's gonna be so cute with braces though, but I know they're gonna hurt um at first, but it's gonna be awesome. Them older remedies, Mr. William, they work great. Like, a lot of people discount the older remedies, but those older remedies always, I'm telling you, they work amazing. And, um, you know, a lot of people forget about the old ways. Jimmy Swagger, was, was he, who, I'm trying to think about who he was. Oh, the televangelist, the televangelist. Did y'all hear that, Willie Nelson said that he can't smoke marijuana no more? He has to only take gummies, edibles, and drinks because his lungs said nope. He quit smoking too. Y'all believe Willie Nelson is 92 years old? He's in his 90s, but he said he can't smoke no more. At first, when I read that article, I thought they said he can't touch it. I was like, that's gonna be the thing that takes Willie out, y'all. And I was like, no, he's still taking his edibles, so he's good. I think that's what's kept Willie Nelson alive so long, just to tell you the truth. But yeah, it's Jimmy Swaggart. Is that who you're talking about? He was a televangelist. Jimmy Swaggart who was ousted after a sex and scandal, dies at the age of 90. Louisiana-based televangelist Jimmy Swaggart. He was toppled by prostitution scandals. He was 90 years old. Yeah, I think I remember him like a little bit because he was on TV a lot. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that was Jerry Lee Lewis's cousin. Oh, dang. I remember, that when they did the documentary on Jerry Lee Lewis, how they did say that his family is like highly involved in the church, and they told him he was going to Hades because he was into the devil's music, quote unquote. Because a lot of Jerry Lee Lewis's family members were into the church. Now, something y'all may not know, the young lady that Jerry Lee Lewis married. Hold on, let me some biography on Jerry Lee Lewis. Myra, the one that you see in the video, um, the reason, let's see here. It says Jerry Lee Lewis was born September 29th. It says Mickey Gailey Laycock, and he began playing the piano with two of his cousins. Mickey Gailey, later popular country music singer, and Jimmy Swaggart, later a popular televangelist. His parents mortgaged their farm to buy a piano. Lewis was influenced by piano playing older cousin Carl McVoy, who later recorded with Bill Blacks combo, the radio, the sounds from Haney's Big House, a black juke joint across the tracks. On November the 19th, 1949, Lewis made his first public performance of his career playing with the country and western band at a car dealership in Faraday. Let's see. But there's the marriage controversy. Lewis's turbulent personal life was hidden from the public until May 1958. British tour where Ray Berry, a news agency reporter at London's Heathrow Airport, the only journalist present, learned about Lewis's third wife, Myra Gale Brown. She is Lewis's cousin and was 13 years old when they married, though Lewis, who was 22 years old at the time, claimed she was actually 15. The publicity caused a uproar and the tour was canceled. Was canceled after only 3 concerts. And he did. He married his own cousin. It's crazy. Let's see his. It says family and children. Lewis was married 7 times, including bigamous marriages and a marriage with his underage cousin. He had 6 children during his marriages. When Jerry Lee was 16, he married Dorothy Barton, the daughter of a preacher. The union lasted from February of 1952 to October 1953. Lewis's second marriage to Sally Jane Mitchum in September of 1953 occurred 23 days before his divorce from Barton was final. They had 2 children, Jerry Lee Lewis Jr. and Ronnie Guy Lewis. After 4 years, he filed for divorce in October 1957. Jerry Lee Lewis Jr. died in 1973 at the age of 19 when the Jeep he was driving overturned. His third marriage, that was the one that was most controversial, was to 13-year-old Myra Gale Brown, his cousin, on December the 12th, 1957. His divorce from Jane Mitchum was not finalized before the ceremony took place, so he remarried Brown on June 4th, 1958. They had 2 children, Steve Allen Lewis and Phoebe Allen Lewis. Brown was only 14 years old when their son was born. In 1962, Stephen Allen Lewis drowned in a swimming pool accident at the age of 3. In 1970, Brown filed for divorce on the grounds of adultery and abuse, stating that she had been subjected to every type of physical and mental abuse imaginable. His fourth marriage was to Jaren Elizabeth Gunn Pate from October 1971 to June 8, 1982. Pate drowned in a swimming pool at the home of a friend with whom she was staying several weeks before divorce proceedings could be finalized. They had 1 daughter, Lori Lee Lewis. Mary Kathy Jones of San Antonio, Texas, testified in court during Lewis's income tax evasion trial in 1984 that she lived with him from 1980 to 1983. Lewis's 5th marriage to Sean Stevens lasted 77 days, ending with her death from an overdose of methadone. Journalist Richard Ben Calmer alleged that Lewis abused and may have illed her. His 6th marriage to Carrie McCarver lasted 21 years. From April 1984 to June 2005, they had 1 child, Jerry Lee Lewis III. In 1993, Lewis moved to Ireland with his family in what was suggested but denied to be a move to avoid issues within IRS. He lived in a rented house on Westminster Road in Foxrock, Dublin. During his time, there was sued by the German company Neue Konstantin Film Production for failure to appear at a concert in Munich in 1993. Lewis returned to the U.S. in 1997 after his tax issues had been resolved by Irish promoter Kieran Kavanagh. Lewis lived in his ranch in Nesbith, Mississippi with his family. Lewis married his 7th wife, Judith Lewis, Annie Brown, Myra Gale Brown's brother's former wife. So Myra Gale's brother's, his cousin's wife, pretty much. On March 9th, 2012, the next day, Lewis severed business ties with his daughter, Phoebe Lewis Lofton, who was his manager, and revoked her power of attorney. In 2017, Lewis sued his daughter and her husband, Zeke Lofton, claiming that she owed him substantial sums of money. In the lawsuit, Lewis and his wife, Judith Lewis, and his son, Jerry Lewis III, also claimed Lofton defamed them on Facebook. Lewis Lofton and her husband countersued, claiming Judith Lewis and Jerry Lee Lewis III interfered in the business relationship. In April of 2019, U.S. District Judge Neil Biggers ruled that most of the claims were barred by 3-year statute of limitation, except the defamation claims. They were Baptists. They were raised in the Assembly of God Church. But yeah, it's crazy. But he also, at the end, Mr. William, he married his ex-wife, which was his cousin's brothers, which would be her brother would be his cousin also, wife. Like when they bring it to a whole new meaning of keeping it all in the family, Jerry Lee Lewis did that. He was crazy, wasn't he? I swear, he was a crazy dude. There's a lot of that though when you look into some of these like celebrities and stuff like that and their crazy mess that they get into. And that's up at North Mississippi, not far from the Memphis. His ranch that he owned was on the basically right up there, not far from Memphis. Nesbith, Mississippi is right up there close to the border between Memphis and Tennessee and Mississippi. That dude had a crazy life if you really look at it. Like Jerry Lee Lewis, he had a crazy life. But they say that Jerry Lee basically was abusive and all this other stuff, and he was on drugs and everything. And now me and my husbands have this conversation. I don't know about y'all, but y'all know they say that uh he's the what I know why is his name Ray Charles. They say that he was a very abusive to the women in his life. And then we have this thought process of he couldn't see you. Why didn't you just play Marco Polo with him and walk away? Like you could walk into another room and he might be able to hear your footsteps, but if you could step slowly and lightly, he couldn't see you to come get you. So, you know, did you just stand there and let a blind man hit you? I'm just saying. But they say he was very abusive to some of the women in his life. That was a thing that happened in a lot of these celebrities back in the day. And you got to think when he was on drugs and stuff too, that, you know, there was a time when he was on serious. And I love me some Ray Charles, don't get me wrong, but you got to look at the truths on every person. They said he was abusive to the women in his life. And a lot of these, even let's say, some of the older school people, I don't know what it was, but yeah. You used to live in Sardis, Mississippi years ago. Yeah, Sardis is where all the bike rallies and stuff go down. And we used to have like bikers come through all the time where I live. And I don't see much of the biker culture down here like I used to. Um, Not as much, not as heavy as it was. It is starting to come back a little bit, but not as heavy as it was at one time. Like it was really like heavy culture down here, the biker culture at one time. Like we had a few 1%ers, had a couple clubs, and now it's you see it, but not as much as you used to, kind of thing. Like a lot of things, like I think we had the pagans down here and stuff like that, and we had a few biker gangs that literally started down here. but you don't see them as much anymore. But I don't even know if Sturgis, Mississippi, not Sardis. Sardis is, but they're not far. Sturgis, Mississippi is where the biker rally goes down. And it started technically Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Um, not the. Why did they just say South Dakota? That is not inside. That happens in Mississippi, Sardis, or whatnot, or whatever. Why are they saying? Did they move that? I gotta look this up right quick, y'all. Because Sturgis didn't start in Kentucky. That's in Mississippi. The bike rallies that go down in Sturgis, Mississippi. I don't know why that just said Kentucky. I'm like, who the hell wrote these things? You know what I'm saying? Sturgis, Mississippi is where that motorcycle rally goes down, not in Kentucky. Are they crazy? You know what I'm saying? That's over there near Starksville in Tibaha County. They used to come down here all the time when they did their stuff because everything. Hey, Richie April, good morning. Did they just do that? They just did that? They finally reached the verdict, y'all. Breaking news: the jury reaches the verdict on all counts. Let's do. We're gonna. Diddy convicted on prostitution-related counts, cleared of more serious charges. Sean Diddy Combs was found guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution in federal trial in New York. He was acquitted of the more severe charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Combs was convicted of 2 counts of prostitution-related charges. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. The development comes after jurors Tuesday. They agreed on 4 of the 5 counts against Combs, but disagreed on the racketeering conspiracy. They reached a verdict on all 5 counts Wednesday morning, which is this morning. Jurors began deliberating on Monday. You know, we all know that. So, breaking news: he did get, the charges for the so it's the charges against Comer: count 1, racketeering conspiracy; count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion; 3, transportation to engage in prostitution; 4, sex trafficking by force. And these are on different people and whatnot. So they found him not guilty on count 1, but found him guilty on count 2 through 5, is what I'm reading. So 4 of the 5 counts he got, and those hold a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. So they did find him guilty of the sex trafficking and the transportation, but not on the racketeering. Which is, yeah, true, Mr. Ritchie. Oh, yep. They the biggest was the RICO Act, and if they didn't get the RICO Act was the one that was holding the most leverage and whatnot. So Let's see. Breaking news, yo. Um, they literally got the indictment back finally. So he may not. I will say this: he may not. 10 years, and the fact that he's never been convicted of anything else, they could give him just probation for that. They could sentence him to 10 years, and he only has to serve 5 years. Usually, you only have to spend 10% to 25% of a jail sentence unless they make him serve the entirety. We have to wait for the judge to come back, right? Um, there's a possibility that he may not do any time at all. He may do 1 year, get out, if a year, and just be on probation. It depends on what the judge decides to, you know what I'm saying, come back with when they do the sentencing trial, because there'll be a different thing when they do the sentencing. We got the verdict came back, but now you have to see what the judge is actually going to sentence for these. So, since we know what he got, done. Also wondering if they're going to make those, because he got two, three, four, and five, and one was, they didn't find him guilty on number one, which was the RICO charges. If they do the sentencing, 10 years for each count, whether they be concurrent or, what's the other word they always use? They do concurrent and then they do consecutive. So whether they're consecutive charges or concurrent, depends on also, because the judge can decide to do concurrent or, yep, his attorney is going to ask for a bond reduction at this time. And it there's a possibility that because he's never been charged with anything, blah 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 blah, that he could do a what basically probation. Hey, Gamecock Jenny. So the Diddy trial just, the verdict just came in. He got found not guilty on the RICO charges, but he got found guilty on the prostitution and trafficking charges. So he got found not guilty on the RICO act of it all, but he got found guilty on the prostitution, which is, I think I even said that beforehand. And I also heard Sislo, if she is in the bushes or happens to watch us, said basically she thought this is the way it was going to go. So if Sislo, if you're watching this, you were right, girl. You were right. You were right. You were right. So now we have to wait now and see what the judge is going to sentence him as, and whether they're going to do the sentencing in a couple of days or if they're going to put the sentencing out. And if they do the sentencing like a month from now or 3 days from now, whatever, they may also do a bond reduction. He may get out and be out while they're waiting on sentencing, and there's a possibility they may come to a some kind of agreement on sentencing and all this other stuff. That's crazy, Al. So in simple terms, it means the jury found Combs guilty of transporting the two women to places where they would participate in sex acts of prostitution. Both the women who had dated Combs separately testified about freak offs and hotel nights. And the defense wants Combs released on bail. The judge is now hearing from the legal team, with Combs' lawyer Mark and Figlio asking for his client to be released from federal detention. He has been behind bars since he was arrested in September of last year, and Figlio suggests a $1 million bond, a striking verdict, this long legal case. So they did get him for the transportation and prostitution, which he now faces a maximum amount of 10 years for transportation and prostitution. These are the most minor offenses that have been charged with, because he got found not guilty on the racketeering and sex trafficking. The big time is off the table. So it says, as the verdict was read out, Combs remained static and hard to read, staring forward. Beforehand, he was praying with his kids and hugging his lawyer. The judge instructed the courtroom and the overflow room to stay orderly, but the overflow room where they're sitting exploded with noise after each decision was read out. Combs' supporters are cheering in front of the courtroom. The charges of the verdict: racketeering and conspiracy, not guilty. Sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura, not guilty. Transportation of prostitution of Ventura and others, guilty. Sex trafficking of woman known as Jane, not guilty. Transportation for prostitution of Jane and others, guilty. So they're actually, he was actually not found guilty of the sex trafficking either. So he was only found guilty of transportation of prostitution. They said 2 out of the 5 he was found guilty on. So he was only found guilty of transportation for prostitution. So they changed their mind on the sex trafficking part also, because yesterday we had heard that for counts 2 to 5, they were trying to find him guilty of that, but they were having problems with the racketeering and whatnot. So, because here's the thing about the racketeering, they didn't prove that he was selling drugs to other. He was buying drugs and giving them to people, but that's not the same as selling them to others or selling different things. So they didn't. I guess the jury didn't find that he had, you know, did that enough. But they did find him guilty on the transportation for prostitution on both counts, for both individuals. So he's only facing a minimum of 10 years. He probably won't even do the 10 years. They didn't find him for the sex trafficking either, because I guess they couldn't prove that, or the jury thought that they didn't prove that he was actually, you know, trafficking the women. He was transporting. See, sex trafficking and transportation for prostitution is different. But they found him guilty on those two, but not guilty on everything else. So he only got found guilty of the transportation. I do. I believe that too, Mr. William. I believe it goes further than people know either. I believe it goes further, and I believe there's other things they haven't brought him up on charges for, because either they don't have enough evidence, or they only have very little circumstantial evidence. And there may be new charges brought up in the future, because as long as they haven't charged him with it and he didn't get acquitted, you get what I'm saying? Then there are charges that could be brought up. Also, some of those things they may have not charged him with because of statute of limitation. You know what I'm saying? There is a such thing as statute of limitation on certain things. So you got to look at that. Some people waited too long to have charges brought up on him for their situations. So there's also that. On some of the things, there's a possibility of statute of limitation. statute of limitations is a thing too. So, I do believe it goes deeper. My thing is, I think this was not put together well enough, and they should have found more evidence. Because I myself was waiting. So, yeah, he got found not guilty on racketeering and sex trafficking, and only got found guilty of transportation. If he had been found guilty for the RICO, he could have faced life in prison. Statutory minimum of 15 years if found guilty of sex trafficking. For the transportation, only 10 years. So if in case he had been found guilty of, let's say, the sex trafficking and just the transportation, he would have been facing 25 years. If in case they had done the RICO, then he would have been 25 to life possible. See, at first the jury said they had a unanimous decision on 4 of the 5 counts against Combs, and they were, but it was the racketeering and the charge that we were not sure. You know what I'm saying? They were not sure on. There's a new post. Combs lead claps in the courtroom following verdict. The mood in the courtroom was extremely emotional after jurors told the court they had acquitted Combs of the most serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. Combs just left the courtroom, and before he did, he got on his knees and put his face to the chair and appeared to be praying. He was shaking. He got up, looked towards his family, and started clapping loudly as his family supporters joined in, cheering in the overflow room too. He then hugged his lawyer and walked out of the courtroom for one of the last times in this case. Judge considering whether to release Combs on bail. The court is adjourning while the judge weighs up arguments from the defense and prosecution on whether Combs should be released on bail. The defense wants him to walk out of the courtroom today on a $1 million bond. The prosecution has requested he stay locked up until the sentencing hearing. The judge has asked for letters from both sides to make their case. We expect this process could take a few hours. The judge says court will be back at 1300 local time, 1800 BST, which 1300 local time will be like 1 o'clock today. So by 1 o'clock today, and this case is on Eastern Standard Time. So by 1 o'clock today, we'll know if he's going to be let out or not. I'll drop the link. Let me invite, copy, paste. So by 1 o'clock today, we'll know that if he is going to be let out on bond. If he's going to be let out before sentencing, which I believe that he will. Hey, Mr. William.
Good morning, Charlie. Oh boy. I've been watching this case here this morning and listening to what they're talking to about. It's a possibility that he's going to be out on bail today from the all the indications that they're giving, and even with court TV, listening to both sides, like a prosecutor and an attorney that's a defending attorney. He will be getting out on bail, I believe, but they're asking for a reduction down to $1 million. And they know that he's able to get that kind of money raised. His own family even said that they would put up the bail for him to get out. So He's a very lucky man. Uh, it makes the prosecution look stupid, though, really stupid, because they could have hit him on a lot of more charges. And like I said in the chat, this man has entertained a lot of, as you might say, entertainers, people in high places. He's sort of like what's that guy's name they found
Um,
in jail?
the oh gosh, I know who you're talking about. The
Yeah, yeah. He's sort of like that, but only he had his shit more together. I put it that way. Sean is. He even touches over into England with the people over in England. You know, some of the prince, one of the princes, prince over there came to his parties and stuff like that. So yeah, he escaped by the hair of his chin, which is graying now. But I guess that's what worry does to all of us as we get older.
well, see, that was the thing when I was watching the trial. I was waiting for more smoking guns to come out, for more information. It was just like we saw the tape of what he did to Cassie. We saw a lot of this stuff, right? And so to
Right,
me, it was like stuff that we had already heard about, and I was waiting for more, like, you know, more things to, like, definite proof, like more like black and white proof, right?
right.
And a lot, to me, a lot they left out, a lot that they could have done that they didn't do, and they thought they just had this in the book because the court of public opinion, right?
Right.
um and the court of public opinion is not the same as a jury, and some of those people have no idea who this man is, right? So they don't know. Some of the jurors may not even know. They know of him because of him being in the news, but they don't know.
Right.
They're not fans, all these other things. They're just looking at the what they see. And to me, there was so much more that they should have brought to the table if they really wanted a conviction. There was so much
Well,
more they could have charged him with that would have made more sense.
well, Charlie, I beg to differ on that part as not knowing who Sean Puffy Combs is, because you got to realize this man has been in the industry for over 30 years. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And heck, I was born before he even got in the industry, and I knew all about him then. So it's hard to say that you could give a jury, and then they say a jury of his peers. That would make them around the same age as Puffy. So I
That's true.
doubt. Yeah, so I doubt if anybody doesn't know Sean Diddy Combs. With all the scandals that they had during the '80s and '90s, and all the rappers that Sean was involved with that lost their lives, like oh, what's that boy's name? The big guy out of New York.
Biggie.
When Biggie, yeah, Biggie and all that. Tupac, even Tupac was involved with Puffy in a way. So it was hard to say that you know you don't know about Sean Diddy Combs, especially in the music industry, which reaches out and touches a lot of people. Even myself, when I was coming up as a young man, as a DJ, I had offers to go to places and do things with people at parties. So where they really lost their case is there were some individuals that testified that they were willing participants in that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when you got a person saying that they were a willing participant, it doesn't matter how bad that man might look. And like you said, even with Cassie at that hotel, Cassie got paid $30 million to keep it hush. The hotel got paid money to keep it hush. So they were all in conspiracy with this man. So you can't go after him without involving them and charging them. You see what I'm saying? And far as being paid off, buying people off, they've been doing that for years. Even that's
Well,
why you have to hire a lawyer sometimes to help buy the judge off, if you know what I mean.
well, that's
So
like, here's the thing with this situation, it where they showed the text messages of them being willingly participating in it, you know, that does prove the defense's case on the fact of no matter what we think it's wrong, that doesn't mean it's
Right.
criminally wrong. There's a difference between, you know, your opinions and if you don't like what somebody's doing versus the law itself and what's in black and white. Um,
Right.
if you're sitting there saying, "Hey, I'm still going to be with you after you make me do this. I'm still going to come back. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying?" It's like, yeah, he held their career over their head, but they could have left at any time.
Right. That's the whole point right there. And the people that were involved around them, helping them, as they say, move and shake this stuff all around. You see what I'm saying? His bodyguards, his personal security, the people that did the bookings and all this stuff. So it's gonna be, like I said, he may not even do jail time either, because he might get. I mean, how long has Puffy been locked up? Close to 2 years now.
Yep, he could get
He might get
out on
time served for
probation
that too.
if it gets time served because it's a 10-year sentence, and you only have to do 10 to 25% of a 10-year sentence. He could get
Well,
just
it's
probation.
80%. I think. Well, what federal government do when you do a federal crime? I think you have to do 85%. So now you got to figure out how long he was in there, what they give him, deduct some of that off of that, and what percentage is left over, which may not be much. They could put him on probation even under house arrest for the rest of the time that he has to do, which would be not likely, but I can't see this young man, well, I can call him that, sitting behind bars when he's got so much to say or things to say about the people that allowed him to do these kind of things. So,
You're right, Mr. William, though. It says an individual sentenced to 10 years in federal prison would serve approximately 8.5 years. The remaining time can be served at a halfway house, blah, blah, blah. But basically, they do have to do 80% of it in federal. So if you got 2 years off, because he's been in there for 2 years, right? That
right,
would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He would only have to do 6 years if they did 6 years, but if he's never been in trouble in his life, or let's say he's never had
right,
prison sentences, they can do they can put him on probation for that time because a lot of first time offenders, and I use that term lightly, but like myself, if I got in trouble because I've never been in trouble in my life, most likely depending on what crime I did, it also depends on what crime, right?
right.
I
That's
could get
true.
out on my own recognizance. I most likely would not have to post a bail. Like say I simple assaulted somebody, just simple
Yeah.
assault. I can get out on my own recognizance and most likely would get like community service or something like that because
Hmm.
I've never been in trouble. So it's going to do a lot of factors and it depends on the judge themselves on whether or not they want to be strict, throw the book, and all these other things.
Right. That's another thing they got to look at that judge too, because if you notice, he hasn't been so critical of the things that were being said in the courtroom. He didn't come out and admonish the defense. Well, the Puffy's lawyers, I guess, because they didn't say that much. The Puffy's lawyers made a smart move. He let the prosecution put the witnesses up there, and they kind of backslid on the things that they did and said. And what's her name coming up there pregnant, finding out that hey, she was with Puffy and then going with the man that's got her that she's having a baby for now. Him and Puffy were associated with each other, are associated with each other, had been associated with each other. Put it that way. That people look at all that stuff, and I'm just wondering whether because of social media that all this stuff got out, or was it that the federal prosecution did their work diligently? Like I said, people got to stop looking at social media as a know all, tell all, and do all things in this world, because some things just don't add up. You know, if they had all of this against him from years ago, why didn't they go after him sooner than what they did? You know. And a lot of it does have to do, and I got to give credit to this old TMZ show. They'll go out and find the most dirtiest, raunchiest things that go on in the world and put it out there. And then a hotshot lawyer will think, well, maybe I can prosecute this, because the guy that owns TMZ was a former attorney himself. Well, he is an attorney himself. So I don't know.
I think it's
But
gonna on this one. It's gonna depend on what the judge feels.
yeah, what the judge is, it's definitely in the hands of the judge right now. I mean, he could be he could be influenced by his grandkids at home. Granddaddy, you don't need to send that man to jail for a long time because he made great music and all. His grandkids, his daughters and stuff. As an entertainer, that's the way it is. And trust and believe. Even though you were talking about Jerry Lee Lewis this morning. Even though he did all this raunchy stuff, people still loved him.
That's just like,
So,
how long did R. Kelly get away with it before they actually finally did something? How long
yeah,
did
yeah.
the other guy you were just talking about? I totally forgot, Epstein. How long did he
Mhm.
get away with it for before they finally did something? I mean, this is people would. It's always like the song says. There's a song, when you're a celebrity and you got money,
Yeah.
rules are different for you. I hate to say it that way. A normal person, if that had been you, Mr. William, or me, we'd have been put under the prison
Under the prison,
a long time ago. But
but
because they have money and they have
yeah,
prestige and all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying?
right. Let's face it, money makes the world go round, um, for the love of money. So I haven't seen it here on YouTube. People do things to each other for those little simple cash apps or those super chats, and even YouTube is contributing to this bullshit that they have on their platform. So I don't know. I try to stay away from it. The only thing I do have is I have YouTube. I have my IG, never used it. I took it off my phone anyway. Uh, when I first came on here, I made the biggest mistake of my life when I got my flu shot, the number one for the flu, for the COVID shot. And I was showing my little records, where I signed my papers from. And that's how somebody uh, enlarged a piece of paper, got my phone number, and text me about something that was going on YouTube. And I refused to even get into it, you know. But I took it down, thankfully, because of one of my moderators, and I'm not going to talk about who she was, but she said that you have to be careful with what you show on here. Even though my life it's not, I'm not a celebrity or anything, but why try to criminalize me or get me involved in bullcrap? I turned down some of the best uh, radio stations, job offers coming up as a young man because I didn't believe in hurting people. You know, but it seems like today that's all people want to do is hurt one another. I can't see it. I mean, even when I was still out there to the wolves, I had people that were in my corner, and I had some people that weren't in my corner. But I know what I did, and I know how I did things, so I didn't let it worry me. But another thing we should do is move in silence. When you get ready to do something, especially when somebody has done something to you, move in silence. The only person that should know, yeah, excuse me, the only person that should know anything is you, your lawyer, and if you have a spouse and they're in your corner, them. But as far as going out telling everybody what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, you don't let them know.
The old adage saying, "Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing."
Right hand is doing. I'm a firm believer in that. And I also said, Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
And
And it
also
does.
know thy enemy. I've told this to people. Like if you're
Hmm.
like even in this beefing sector where people beef for dollars, know your
Yeah,
enemy. Like know what you're facing, know who you're facing, what's fixing to happen. Like be 10 steps ahead, because if you already know what's coming, you know how to prepare for it, right?
right. And there are rules and laws on the books,
Hmm.
state and federal laws about doxing and trying to humiliate people, especially senior citizens, which I am part of that group, and also military part. So when you say something, you better know what you're doing. When you bring out somebody's life, you better know what you're doing, because that person can come back at you, and before you know it, there's a knock on your door, and you're wondering, what's this for? You know,
Always
uh,
stay 10 steps ahead, and that way you ain't 10 steps behind and you know what's going on.
right, right. And you don't try to bury somebody every time you talk about them. Because you're digging that hole. You can forget you're down in that hole. Somebody can come along, throw dirt on top of you while you're digging. So, like I said, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here because I gotta get dressed and get my shower and get dressed. Take me a little road trip today. I'm gonna enjoy it. And if I see anything interesting in the film, I'll post it up on both of my channels and letting people know, hey, enjoy life. There's more to life than YouTube, as I always say. So,
There always is. And thank you, Mr. William, for coming up. I hope you have a good day today, and I hope you have fun today, and be
yeah, you too,
careful.
Charlie. Hey, and I'm looking forward to Barry Carey's next quick karaoke night. So,
Oh yeah, you got to sing me some Mr. Barry White. You got to.
yeah, I should be able to a little bit, but as you can tell now, my boy, it's more raspier. I don't know why. It just like that early in the mornings and the afternoons, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I done told you you got that radio made for radio voice. You know what I'm saying? That just it's just some people got it and some people don't. It's like, even when I sing, I don't have that tone that I love. Some people have that tone, and that's something you can't teach. No matter, you can teach a person to hold a note, right?
You
You can
right.
teach a person how to sing, but you can't teach certain things. And there's certain people that just have that raspiness. They just have that special quality to their voice that you can't teach. You can't
Yeah.
teach that.
And like I said, I've had this ever since I was 16 years old. So I kind of, it was a curse and then it was a blessing. So what can I say? I don't know. I could have used it, and who knows where I would have been if I had went ahead and followed the leaders, put it that way. The guys that had the money could show me, hey, I'll fly you from here to New York right now. No, not really. I don't. I've seen too many people fall down by the wayside. Ordinary people with that idol worshiping people and all that. So my dad always taught me, be your own man and stick up for what's right. So,
And
and
what you
even if
do
you
is
stick up, but nowadays you stick up for what's right, you get ostracized even worse. So
that's true.
nobody wants to hear the truth. They would rather hear a lie than to hear the truth. So, mm, well, we'll see later on this afternoon
But
what they're going to do with Mr. Diddy. And like I
yep,
said, it's left up to the judge now.
it's
So
left up to the judge. So we're going to see what he
yeah,
decides to do with Mr. Diddy, and whether I think that a lot of this, in my opinion, was actually a money grab. And
it is.
I not the fact that I don't care for Diddy as a person, because of it's bullshit what he does. But
Yeah,
if you read the indictment and read at the bottom, if you read every single one of those little things at the end piece, it basically said they were trying to take the enterprise, which is basically all of his businesses, anything
Assets.
associated with
Yeah.
his businesses, which would be his homes, his
Yeah.
cars, anything that was
Hmm.
associated. So they, if they would have been able to find this, they were fixing to really jack him up for a lot of money and a lot of
Yeah. And
like stuff.
that includes his music too, the rights to his
Hmm.
music. So I mean, oh, that's
Woo!
nobody.
That's my song. That's my jam. Let's
Yeah,
get it on. Baby.
yeah, that's the ringtone.
Hello,
So
Mr.
you know,
Al Green now.
no, that was Marvin.
Oh, Marvin,
Marvin
Marvin,
Gaye.
my bad. My
Yeah, let's
bad.
get it on.
I love Marvin and Al, so maybe I got them mixed up because my brain's going, woo, I just love it. I was just getting ready.
Yeah, but I got that on. I got that as my ringtone on certain numbers. So I let them know I'll call them back.
Uh-oh, that's one of y'all ladies. Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Yep, I'll let her know I'll call her back. Shit.
Tell you was on the
Uh,
phone with one of your daughters, your white daughter.
you know what? She's probably listening to me now. So
That's my daughter. That's my daughter. Don't get all jealous and stuff now.
yeah,
That's my other child over there.
yeah, that's true. I could tell that lie too. See, yeah, that's what got me in trouble growing up, telling on myself sometimes. Shit.
I like that
Excuse me.
suit you got on in your picture. That's a cute picture right there. Got that
That,
full white on.
yeah, believe it or not, I had just gotten married when that picture was taken, and that was a mentioned Sardis. That's where I was living at Sardis, Mississippi then,
Oh
and
yeah, Sardis
that's what I
Lake.
got married in. We both
I,
had on white.
I like going to Sardis
Yeah.
Lake and the campground area down there. That's a pretty place.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, my brother-in-law got arrested, so he used to come down there every year and go fishing out there on the lake. He had his little boat, and I know one year we went out there and it got the lightning, and we hurried up and got out the water. But before we got up, we went up under a doggone one of those camping areas, what they call, where they had the roofs and the benches and out that we were under there. And I'd be darned, a stroke of lightning hit. It didn't hit where we were at, but hit down from us. Man, that shit traveled through the ground and popped. I tell you
It
what.
will. You got to be careful. It'll. I'm gonna tell you something. My dad was working in a shop where he worked on farm equipment and stuff, and he told the young men there was water on the ground, and he saved about 5 or 6 young men. He told him, he said, get up on something, like get up on the tables and stuff. And sure
Right.
enough, as soon as he told him get up on the tables, lightning struck the building, and it went through like electricity went through the floors. If they had been standing on that floor with that water,
Right.
they wouldn't be here today. And because he just had a feeling, I suppose, or something. He was like, because he saw that water, he knew how electricity runs. And I had a cousin who actually passed away from
Uh,
that. He
yeah.
was he saved another man's life. He was only in his 20s. I called him my uncle, but he was technically my cousin because I was
Hmm.
little. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I didn't understand the concept of cousins versus uncles and aunts. So
Ants.
anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
that was like 20 years older than me, I called them all aunt and uncle. And
Yeah.
so he was only in his 20s. He was more like my brother than anything. He stayed more at our house than anywhere. And they were working on this farm, and electricity run through and grabbed the other dude. He was on a ladder. He pulled him off the ladder and it grabbed him, and he passed away. And the sad part is the dude that he saved did not like better his life or do anything with it. And the guy literally didn't even admit that my cousin saved his life for his own.
Wow.
And went on to become a drunk and criminal and all this other stuff instead
All
of
that other stuff.
Yeah, and so it was like he
Yeah,
passed
being
away for no
thankful
reason.
instead of being thankful that he still was living. Yeah,
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder about people like that, but that's a whole nother story to talk about. Then again, too, he might have felt so guilty about it and he couldn't talk about it or didn't want to talk about it. I don't know. Nobody knows. The mind is a tricky thing, you know. I just thank God I'm able to wake up in the morning and I have the right thought and presence to call my family and let them know, hey, I love you and my friends and all that. And don't be mad about things when I wake up in the morning, except for this raspy voice. Sheesh, it's getting on my nerves now. But
Yeah, but the women are loving it, so that's all that matters, Mr. Williams.
yeah, but I don't know. I'm not gonna say. Do I love the attention? Yeah, in a way, but there's times when I want to say, ladies, I already have somebody. So it's a double-edged sword with that, and I know how women can be. So I don't let it get to my head. I don't let it go to my head. I'm just here for the entertainment when I do my music and do stuff on YouTube. Just here for the entertainment.
We
Uh,
love you, Mr. William, regardless.
and
I'm gonna
yeah,
say
I
that.
love and appreciate you guys too. I really do. I check my thing. I got some new people up there, and I hope that I can continue doing what I'm doing. And like I say, bringing joy and happiness to those that listen.
And as long as God's willing, the creek don't rise, as they say in the South. We gonna have you
Yeah,
here for a very long time, and
yeah.
Jesus gonna make it happen because that's my homie. But hey, Miss Heidi, good morning, Miss Jessica. Yeah, he got found guilty on the transportation, but not the trafficking, and didn't get the RICO charge either. So he's looking at 10 years.
How do you
He's
say
a little
she did?
upset. It seems like the court of public opinion is feeling that way by what I'm seeing in pretty much every post that I've read. People are mad
Yeah.
as hell.
Oh, well, look at it this way. He didn't get treated like Bill Cosby, so
I will say,
that's all I was. That's all I'm saying. How times have changed. How times have changed.
I will say, I thought, in my opinion, because that's a different situation, that it was stupid for them to bring that upon that man on his pretty much his deathbed, pretty much sickness, pretty much
Right,
elderly,
right.
instead of when he was in his prime in his 20s.
Prime. Thank you. When he was actually able to hop that net, and I spy and all that kind of shit, because he was doing that back then.
Why
So
didn't they
yeah,
get him if they knew about it back then versus waiting until the man's almost like,
almost. Well, his biggest mistake was trying to buy NBC. I'll always say that, and he
yeah.
had the money to do
I
it too.
mean, look what they did to Michael Jackson, Prince. Let's go
Yeah,
on and
yeah,
say and so forth. Every time that they a celebrity, that and let's just keep it 100 and keep it a buck. Every time a black celebrity tries to rise above and buy
right,
something,
Bob, yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
let's just
because
keep it a buck.
even with Prince, I still say the record companies had something to do with his demise.
I don't think Prince OD'd, and I don't think he intended to unalive himself in any way, shape, or form. I believe that he was got because
Well,
Prince started out.
There's an interesting documentary on Prince, and from all indications, they want to try to blame it on the narcotics that he was using and how it affects the brain and what he might have been thinking. And oh man, forget that. It's like I said, conspiracies run. You can get those a dime a dozen. You know, life is based on conspiracies. Like I remember when our President Kennedy was assassinated, there was a whole lot of conspiracies and rumors going around, and the real people involved with it ended up unalived, or some of them, as they say, did something to themselves. But I don't know. My
I'm gonna
mom
say
is.
this. By a lot of conspiracies do like have some kind of truth behind them, whether it be a little bit or a lot. And with certain situations, I believe in those conspiracies above others, especially when they can be proven, right?
Yeah,
Um, the situation with Prince, if you noticed, he was starting to speak out more, and he owned
against right
lot, a lot of people's, like he owned so much music.
music rights. Yeah,
Yeah, and you notice it's the people who's starting to get on up there, like MJ. He all of a sudden passed away because of that doctor, knowing he had like had so many music catalogs and was buying more. Like I
by
loved
more and
MJ's
more. Yeah,
pettiness, his
yeah.
pettiness of buying somebody's music catalog because they talk crap, and he's like, "Ha ha ha! Well, I own your shit now."
Well, yeah,
I,
because yeah, when MJ bought the Beatles catalog, that made a lot of people mad. A lot of people mad.
I love the pettiness of it all. Like, like
Yeah, it is. It is petty though, but like I said, money makes the world go round, and for the love of money, people will rob their own brother. So that's
well,
the
that's
most
like with Diddy. I believe that he had something to do with Biggie's
with
passing
Biggie.
because Biggie was supposed to leave, and he knew that he would make more money off of him
Yeah,
being not there and still owning rights than he would if Biggie would have left and then Biggie
yeah,
passed away. I do believe that he had something to do with that. I don't
yeah.
believe
Well,
that
let's
that
face
was
it.
someone else.
Let's face it. A singer like that or an actor like that is worth passed away. They're worth more than they are living. I looked at the thing about I did a tribute to one of the Whispers, the twin, and that day their music, got at least 10, what they said, 10 times the hits, or people were playing their music more that day than they have since they've been in the music industry. So, yep, I was guilty of that too. But I don't know. It's something about when a person that's really been out there doing something and we enjoy them when they pass away, it hurts. It hurts. But like I said, Michael, I know a girl that almost went crazy when he passed away. They had to take her to a mental institution because she's walking around there talking about she want to go join Michael. Should her mama hurry up and locked her up for a minute. But idol worshiping of man is not the thing to do. You take it with a grain of salt. And sometimes you don't even take that grain of salt because it'll run your blood pressure up.
Yep.
And blood pressure is the number one killer.
Oh yeah, like you gotta take care of yourself. Stress too. Stress is the
Mm,
number one. Hmm.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to stress myself out about what somebody said.
I'm sure not
But
going to either.
no, no, I'm not. I tell everybody, just don't put a hand on me. That's all. Because I can take, I can take some of it, but I'm not going to take it to the point where it disgraces me. And then when I walk out there in public, everybody pointing their finger. Oh no, 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 ain't gonna do that. And I ain't gonna ride 900 miles with a diaper on either. I'm gonna have that lawman, as they say, knocking on your door, and that's for real, for real. And I got too old to fight. I just want to make love and then go to sleep.
Now, my daddy just brought up a thought process on this Diddy stuff. My daddy said that Diddy could turn around and possibly get them for false imprisonment for keeping him in there for that long. But I don't think that he will. But
No, he can't. He'd be
he
stupid
can.
to even try that. He would be stupid to even try that. Really, he would. No, no.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you this: if I was him, I wouldn't f around and find out. I'd be trying to get the heck away and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Once it gets cleared of everything, go buy you an island somewhere, man. You got enough money. Go live on that island. Shit. Then you can. Then if they want to see you, they'll have to catch a boat or a helicopter. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I'm trying to. I'm gonna add a redirect right quick because in a minute when I end,
Yeah.
I'm going to redirect to our beautiful The Hood Table. If she's still live.
Oh, the hood table is up. She's live. I gotta get over
Yeah,
there. I haven't spoken with her in a while. I've been following her too. She's been following that Diddy trial. I know she's got something interesting to say about it.
you know she is. Oh, I'm not on her list. Add you to the. I gotta get her to add me to her list because
Well, trust me, I got her. I can go in there and get her right quick, so I can get right over to her lives. There's a lot of people I got that I'm subscribed to, but it's a very few and select few that I go actually listen to, and sometimes be up on the panel. And I'm even over there with Pizarro and her spaceship.
because
Even though
I was show fisting to redirect to her. I was, but it says redirect privileges needed. Ask the Hood Table to add you to their live redirect list of community settings.
yeah,
But what I'll do is I'll do it the old school way,
yeah,
where you put
drop,
the link in the chat.
drop the link down there. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But I'm fixing to get off here. I want to thank you, Mr. William, for popping up today. We're gonna head on over
Thank
there
you,
to the
Charlie.
Hood Table to support our beautiful Hood Table.
Yeah, I'll be over there and let her know. Hey, Charlie was trying to send people over here, but she needs your permission.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't do it. She won't let me. But thank you, Mr. William, for coming up.
Well, sometimes we got to keep the screen door locked, even though the front door is open. So
That's what she doing. She making sure others can't be doing it. I'm like, but I could be on the permissions list. Put me on the permissions list.
no, she's keeping the mosquitoes out. She's got the screen door open, the locked, but the front door is open to keep the mosquitoes out. Let me go, Charlie. Love you, baby. You have a good rest of your day.
You too, Mr. Will. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
So I want to thank you to Mr. William for coming up. Thank you for everybody that came in. That link I just posted in the chat goes to the Hood Table. We also have, let's see, other people live with this verdict right now. I'm going to read off on my live list who is live at this moment. So, your choice. We have the Diddy, we have Real K Fit, Keeping Up with Mr. Tommy and the Chosen Ones. We have ODS, Binary Pastor Jay Wilson. We have Miss Dovey, Court TV, Law and Crime Network. And I'm trying to make sure to not miss no one that is, so I'm gonna refresh and make sure, because I like to do that. That we're not missing, right? Nobody. ODS is live right now, official D spot. And that is basically what's going on right now. Let's go over there to the Hood Table, send her some love, show her some love and whatnot. I just posted her link in the chat. I want to thank you all for being here today. And we will be back tomorrow with some other content. Therapy Thursday. I'm thinking about doing some more Therapy Thursday tomorrow. So if y'all want to join me for some therapy and love, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to my replay gang. Anybody who hits the cash up, hits the like button, shows any form of support whatsoever, I want to thank you. Becoming a member, staying a member. Thank you. Mwah. Love you. Bye.
I'm from the TUBE, E-L-O, I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the T-U-P. E-L-O, I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go from the T-U-P. E-L-O, I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the T-U-P. E-L-O, I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go.
I'm from the west side, we don't need no introduction, this with the best ride. We all big boy rollin' and holding, come take a test drive. Hilldale, Evergreen, Glenkirk, Outer Street, bending every corner on the west, and that's where I'll be. Sunroof back, Captain C banging down 1800, chunking up the deuce to my post slanging down on 1800. Show no love to the ladies that's training round on 1800, making time stand still. Crystalline swinging down on 1800, watching out for them knuckleheads that be stanging round on 1800. Big rims and low pros be blanging round on 1800. Better completely change the way you're thinking about round 1800. Really hate to see you boys get left slanking around 1800. Out of street got some history, just let Captain C lay it out. If I don't finish it all on this one, let the second verse break it out. Remember the blue were promising OG standing back there by 60 deep. Bull walking, saw blue a big Anthony using P.
I'm from the T-U-P, E-L-O, I'm reppin' my